last night on the news, on TV1, there was an item that really felt to me like an attempt to shut New Zealanders up from talking about co-governance. The item was by Mikey Sherman, who is the president of the Press Gallery and deputy political editor for TV1. And it was about how all the nasty people who had been outraged about mandates are now outraged about co-governance, and that this was indicative of their racism. Quite a leap, in my opinion. But Ms. Sherman has evidence from a government-funded think tank to back her up. It's all a bit incestuous, isn't it? Government-funded think tank and government-funded media company work together to tell Kiwis to shut up about co-governance or else they're racists. Well, I have a few things to say. First of all, threatening me with accusations of racism won't work. The same kinds of people have cancelled me numerous times with accusations of transphobia. It just does not work on me, folks. One of the reasons it doesn't work is that I know I'm not racist. I do not believe in the idea that as a white person I'm born with an original sin of racism. Let me make it clear though, I abhor racism. It is horrendous, and horrendous things have happened in the past in its name. There are still racist individuals who do horrendous things in New Zealand and around the world today. To those people, I say, your racism disgusts me, and I hope you find a way to overcome your prejudices. However, criticising a government policy like co-governance or asking for answers from a senior minister about their actions or influences is not racism. If you, like me, are worried about co-governance and the various issues currently surrounding Minister Nanaia Mahuta, I have a few suggestions to share with you. 1. Do not allow yourself to be silenced by baseless accusations of racism. Do not accept actual racism though. Voice your opposition to it. And 2, when you have a baseless accusation of racism levelled at you, channel our Prime Minister and just reject it. New Zealand is a democracy. Each of us is entitled to discuss our democracy and disagree with policy. Do not be afraid or disempowered. No matter your race, sex, age, country of birth, or any other demographic marker. You are just as important as any other New Zealander. Your vote is worth the same amount. Your life is just as precious. And remember, the same is true of those you come across who you might disagree with. That's my rant on the matter. Give me a call on 0800 3322 83 to share your thoughts. Did you see the piece on TV1 News last night? How do you feel about it? Do you feel that co-governance and talking about co-governance and debating its merits is racist? Is it automatically anti-Māori to criticise policies that involve co-governance? Is it anti-Māori when overwhelmingly the people benefiting from the co-governance policies actually only come from one small group and mostly from the same iwi? Is it anti-Māori to want to have a discussion about what it means to be in a democracy? I don't think so. I just don't think so. I think that as New Zealanders, no matter if we are Māori or if we are of European descent or if we are of the many, many, many ethnicities and cultures who now call New Zealand home, because we are a truly multicultural country, I think that we're entitled to discuss the very fundamentals of our democracy. And any policy that the government puts forward, any policy that they seek to enact or discuss in Parliament, should be fair game to any one of us to say, don't like that. Because that's what a democracy is. We disagree. And we should, in theory, balance each other out, because in a democracy, we work with majorities of various kinds. Sometimes, as I discussed with Liam here this morning, certain very important aspects of our democracy require a 75% majority in Parliament. But even so, we have a proportional voting system so that various views, various perspectives all over the political spectrum can be represented in Parliament and can balance each other out. And that, on the whole, when that balance happens, it means that the views that seem to be supported by the majority have a little bit more weight because there's more of them in Parliament. This is all basic, and the problem is that we have forgotten so many of the things that we took for granted just a short time ago. Some of the principles of democracy and fairness and rights that have been entrenched in our society for such a long time, we took for granted. And now we're in a situation where they're being challenged. And that's actually not such a bad thing, because people should be able to challenge and put forth different ideas and different perspectives and say, well, actually, I think this way's better. But when that happens, we should be able to engage in that debate and perhaps defend the status quo. And that's what's not happening here with co-governance. People are forgetting that it is actually on those who want to introduce something to the system to put forth the argument and win it. It's not up to the existing system to have to just hand it over. So if the proponents of co-governance are able to convince the majority of New Zealanders that their way is the better way and it will benefit us all, and actually we'll all skip off into the sunset and have a much better life on our islands, then that's great. It means that democracy has worked and we will get the system that democracy produces. But equally, if most of New Zealand says, no, we don't like that idea, we're quite happy with a proportionate system, and we're saying no, that is not racist. That is having a say in democracy. Weaponizing scary terms like racist, racism is something that happens a lot nowadays. And as I said at the start of my wee rant, it happens in other ways as well, with sexism or homophobia or transphobia. And in my opinion, when these things are weaponized, they do no favours for the cause of actual racism or sexism or those kind of things. They belittle it. Because when it's weaponized and used against people to punish or to silence, they are trivializing the very real things that exist. And as I said, racism does exist, as does all the other isms. There are really not very nice people in this world, unfortunately. And as a society, we've mostly rejected those ideas. Most of us, on the whole, say, no, actually, I'm quite happy having a multicultural New Zealand. I've got friends and family of all sorts of different backgrounds. We marry each other, we work together. We have children together, all sorts. And we reject the nasty ideas. And we want to keep doing that. But when you call the majority of New Zealanders or large groups of New Zealanders racist for simply not agreeing with you on a policy issue, you are suddenly putting a large group of people on the team of those awful people that, you know, the minority who still have really nasty views about race. And it's not good for any of us. And I don't know how many times we can have these kind of discussions with the people in power until they stop trying to manipulate us with accusations of racism or sexism or homophobia or transphobia. But they will keep doing it until it doesn't work anymore. And it won't work anymore when we say, no, it doesn't work anymore. So as I said at the start of this rant, it doesn't work on me. I've got about 10 years practice of being, you know, told I'm all the most awful things on earth because of my views that humans can't change sex. And I just decided not to let it silence me. I try to respect every human I come across. I have my views, but I will not be quiet because people level baseless accusations at me. And I encourage you to do the same. Like I said, call out real racism. Say to people, I don't like that. Don't talk to me like that about Māori, because actually that's wrong. But when someone baselessly calls you a racist, reject it. Because we can't be manipulated if we don't let them manipulate us.